Well, the New York Times is reporting of 2 cases of pneumonic plague in China, prompting fears of an outbreak. And what we have here is there's 2 people in China that were diagnosed with the plague, setting off a panic on Tuesday about the potential of the spread. Beijing officials said that 2 infected people came from Inner Mongolia, a sparsely populated region of northern China. They sought treatment on Tuesday in a hospital in Beijing in the Shaoyang district, and they were both diagnosed with the very severe pneumonic plague. The Chinese CDC said on Weibo that there is no need for Beijing residents to panic, that risk for further transmission are extremely low. They were isolated, and epidemiological investigations are being taken as we speak. Then it talks about, here's a physician at Beijing's Shaoyang Hospital, said his name is Li Jifeng. He wrote on WeChat, which is a social media platform. He was writing about these actual cases, but that was later deleted. Dr. Lee wrote that the patient she saw was a middle-aged man who had a fever, complained of breathing difficulties for 10 days, sought treatment at the hospital in Inner Mongolia, but his condition did not improve. His wife also developed a fever and respiratory problems. After so many years of specialist training, I'm familiar with the diagnosis and treatment of most respiratory diseases, she wrote. But this time I looked at it. I couldn't guess what the pathogen causing this pneumonia was. I only knew it was rare. Now, on why the authorities took so long to make the announcement, Dr. Lee wrote that the signs of any infectious diseases need to be repeatedly verified and investigated, and such announcements cannot be transmitted casually. On Tuesday, Chinese censors instructed online news aggregators in China to block and control online discussion related to news about the plague, according to a directive seen by the New York Times. Skeptical Chinese internet users have charged the government with being slow to disclose news about the disease. So we have this, for sure, at least 2 confirmed cases of pneumonic plague diagnosed in the Inner Mongolia area of China. And these patients went to Beijing, to a hospital in Beijing, and were diagnosed. Now, this other report gives a little bit more detail. It's Shizing Global, this website, and they write, the 2 patients have received proper treatment in relevant medical institution in Beijing's Shaoyang district. Shaoyang Hospital, where the 2 patients were treated, has replaced all the chairs at the emergency room, according to reporters. The emergency room was in police blockade Monday night. People living nearby the hospital told Shizing, the news source. A resident medical school student at Shaoyang Hospital told Shizing that he received emergency notice from the school asking them not to go to the ER in the following weeks. So that's what we have coming out of China. This is the closest actual Chinese report I could find. And this is actually a tech website, but they are reporting on it. Well, just a few facts about the plague, and this is from the World Health Organization. It's caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. It's a zoonotic bacteria usually found in small mammals and their fleas. Typically, people develop symptoms within a week, and there are 2 main clinical forms of plague. One is bubonic, which a lot of people have heard of, and then there's pneumonic, which is a more severe form of plague. Bubonic plague is most commonly seen as painful swollen lymph nodes known as buboes. And then, of course, pneumonic plague is a lung infection of the Yersinia pestis bacteria. And let's look at signs and symptoms. People infected with plague usually develop acute febrile disease and other non-specific symptoms after the incubation period of 1 to 7 days, fever, chills, headache, etc. But with pneumonic plague or lung-based plague, which is the most virulent form, incubation can be as short as 24 hours. Any person with pneumonic plague may transmit the disease via droplets to other humans. So there is, unlike bubonic plague, there is human-to-human transmission associated with pneumonic plague. Untreated pneumonic plague, if not diagnosed and treated early, can be fatal. However, recovery rates are high if detected and treated in time. So it does beg the question. I mean, it sounds like the patients from Upper Mongolia were showing symptoms for much longer than 24 hours. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And just to give you a picture of where plague is found naturally around the world, it's on every continent except for, of course, Antarctica and Australia. So we do see a lot of natural plague in Western China, Mongolia area, parts of India. It's speckled throughout Africa, Madagascar, of course, we are well aware of that. Parts of South America and the western portions of the United States. And let me go ahead and just close with this, how much plague we have seen in previous decades. And in the first decade of the 21st century, so from 2000 to 2009, this is what we saw concerning plague during that decade. There was more than 21,000 human cases of plague reported from 2000 to 2009. The countries reporting the most were the Democratic Republic of the Congo with over 10,000, and followed by Madagascar. And these countries have kind of flip-flopped over the decades and who has the most. I think in the 1990s, Madagascar had the most. Then there's more African countries, Zambia, Uganda, Mozambique, Tanzania. And coming in at 7th last decade was China, who had 227 cases of plague during that decade. All right, so just a quick news report on what's coming out of China according to the New York Times and other news sources. And if you liked it, comment below, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.